Good morning, abundant ones.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's center ourselves in this moment, shall we? Just close your eyes, take a deep breath. Releasing everything but this moment. That feels good. Welcome to this moment. Welcome to the presence within the presence. You know, I am so grateful for this time that we have together each and every Sunday. I'm so grateful to share in joy and in love this day. I am blessed and so very, very blessed. April's theme is the eternality of spirit. And so I'm continuing this idea of eternality of spirit through the Science of Mind's declarations, which is the concept of what Ernest Holmes wrote. We believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. Makes me think of spring. I look out into the world around me and the seasons changing from gray and cold to the warming of the air and the birds coming in and singing and bugs multiplying. And everywhere I look, there are brilliant examples of the eternal, immortal, and continuous cycle of growth and abundance. So today I'm talking about eternal abundance, because I see all around me these amazing ideas and examples of abundance. And quite often, I hear the opposite. So I work at a bank. And every day I work, I see a wide spectrum of consciousness around wealth and the energy of money. The other day, a man comes in and he wants to check on his account. He hasn't used that account for quite some time, and he said, you know, I'm sure there's not much in there. So I drew up his account and I said the amount that's in there, and he said, yeah, I was right, there wasn't much in there. My eyes popped out, because what wasn't much for him was so much. For so many more people would have been like, oh my goodness, a year's salary just like sitting in there, not even being touched. So I see these examples, and I think that made me think a lot that day, because in the same course of that same day, there's people coming in to clear out their bank accounts to go and get a few groceries to cover them until payday. Right? So the spectrum is amazing, that we have all of these different thoughts. And all around us is this consciousness of not enoughness. One man had plenty, and it wasn't enough. The other man had so very little, but it was going to get him through. And so let's take this to a spiritual principle, because really that's why we're here. Because it isn't just about money, if it is at all. Wayne Dyer wrote, abundance is not something we acquire, it's something we tune into. It's something we tune into. It's something that we remember that we already have. We are living in spirit, and nothing can happen outside of us that is not spirit. Spirit is always living itself through our experience, through our consciousness. All we need to do is look around at the examples of abundance that creative intelligence has on display for us. The universe is filled with them. Have you ever tried to count the stars in a night sky? I have. I lose track every single time after about a minute. I can't even count the grains of sand in an hourglass, let alone the sand of a beach. There are 7 billion people on this little blue dot. This one little planet. And there are billions of planets in billions of galaxies. It's mind-blowing. Eternal abundance, never-ending, never ceasing, lasting forever, always existing, indomitable, immutable, eternal abundance. There's a Sufi saying, abundance can be had simply by consciously receiving what has already been given. And we look around us, and it has already been given. There isn't anything within the one power, the one presence, that isn't already complete. Spirit knows each of us by name, has already filled every acorn seed with an entirely full-grown tree, has already impregnated every egg, fertilized every morsel of soil. Universal mind has already thought every thought, dreamed every dream, and created every creation. All the work is already done for us. It is already done, already made, created, infused, energized, and enriched absolutely everything we could ever possibly need or want for ourselves. It's already in the presence. When I'm in lack, and I have been, it is simply a belief in lack, a belief in separation. I'm not really lacking in anything because I live in a universe that is abundant. It is really a belief that I'm not enough. I'm not worth it. I'm never going to have that, get that, be that, because I'm just not enough. It's just plain old stinking thinking is what it is. And it's a bunch of lies that I tell myself every now and then when I fall out of alignment with that absolute truth. All of it, this spirit, the beloved, creative intelligence, all of it is one thing. And that one thing is infinite. Infinite. My mind can't even know what infinite truly means. It's so big. That this thing is eternal, immortal, and continuous. And that thing is living itself through my individualization, my individual soul, and your soul. And it is forever and ever expanding. So abundance isn't about having things, accumulating things, or having bucket loads of money. It can be, if that's what you want to experience in your life. Please, all the power to you. Remember to tip your server. Susie Orman, Oprah's favorite money guru, said, abundance is about being rich, with or without money. So a couple weeks ago I saw this video of an experiment that these 3 young men did, the youngest being 12 and his 2 older brothers. And what they did was set up a camera, and then the 12-year-old, on a frigidly cold day in New York City, had a sign in front, and he was sitting on the cement as people were walking by that said, I'm homeless, I need help. A 12-year-old boy. For hours and hours, he sat there with the sign shivering in the cold. And thousands, it's New York, thousands of people walked by him. And finally, after several hours of this, a man walked up and sat down on the ground with him, gave him his jacket, and said, are you homeless? The boy said, yes, I'm homeless, I don't have anything. And the man said, I'm homeless too. You have such a big life ahead of you. I will show you where to find shelter, how to find food. I'll take you under my wing and show you everything you need to live on the street. And so just then, his brothers came up and thanked the homeless man because he was the only person in hours to give something, to share something. And so in return, they gave the homeless man $500 and thanked him and made sure that he had enough for at least a little while. But that man, the homeless man, gave abundantly. So much more than money. And you do not need to have a lot to feel abundant. You know when I feel most abundant is when I'm in a state of gratitude, when I'm expressing gratitude. Thank you. She gets me. Sarah Van Breathnach wrote in her book, Simply Abundant, whatever we are waiting for, peace of mind, contentment, grace, the inner awareness of simple abundance, it will surely come to us, but only when we are ready to receive it with an open and grateful heart. Whatever we are waiting for, whatever we're treating for, praying for, whatever we're meditating and contemplating on, it will surely come to us, but only when we are ready to receive it with an open and grateful heart. Another story I heard this past week that kind of blew my mind. in its simplicity. It's a story of Krishna. And all of these monks it was the day to go and speak with Krishna. So these monks were in line and waiting one-on-one for Krishna's time. And they all had one burning question. When will I reach enlightenment? So the first monk comes up and says to Krishna, Krishna, I meditate 3 hours a day, and twice a week I work at the soup kitchen, and I'm a really good person. I do everything I can to be good. When will I find enlightenment? And Krishna looks deep into his eyes and says, 4 more lifetimes. 4 more lifetimes and you will be enlightened. Oh. The monk just shrugged and was like, oh, 4 more lifetimes. So he grudgingly went back to his meditation pillow and began to meditate again. The line continues on, and every question is the same. Krishna, Krishna, I meditate for 8 hours a day. I run the soup kitchen, and I give more than I can possibly give. And I work every day to be a good person. When will I reach enlightenment? And Krishna looks deep into his eyes and says, 2 more lifetimes. 2 more lifetimes and you'll be enlightened. Oh, 2 more lifetimes. Oh my goodness. So just then, a thief walks by and sees that the line is getting short. And he might have some time to see Krishna. So he gets in line and waits patiently. And finally, it's his turn. And so the thief walks up to Krishna. He says, Krishna, I'm a thief. I steal absolutely everything I possibly can. I don't do anything that is in service of others. I only serve myself. When will I be enlightened? And Krishna looked deep into his eyes and said, 1,000 lifetimes. And the thief fell to his knees and wept. And he looked up at Krishna and he said, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for letting me know there's a chance for me to be enlightened. It gives me shivers just even telling the story. We have that same opportunity to be that grateful for everything in our lives and grateful for what is still to come. Can you close your eyes at any moment of the day and turn to that sense of gratitude within you, that deep, fully and completely sense of gratitude like the thief in our story? The world-famous author Unknown said, gratitude is the open door to abundance. If we want to feel abundant, we have to allow gratitude to flow through us. What are you grateful for? What brings up that deep, deep well of gratefulness inside of you? What are you grateful for? What are you grateful for?
Sunday mornings at the Center for Spiritual Living, West Kootenay.
Awesome. What are you grateful for?
You.
What are you grateful for, Kathy?
You, my husband, it's everything.
Everything.
Being alive.
Being alive. There's that place where we can turn to every single moment that remembers what gratitude feels like. I'm grateful for this community. We started this community together. And I'm grateful every Sunday that you guys have shown up. I'm grateful that I have the ability to read. How amazing is it for me to be able to open any book in the world and read the words that it is speaking to me? I'm grateful for connection and joyful expression. I'm grateful that every day I come home to electricity and warmth and 3 bouncing burly dogs greeting me at the door. What a blessing my life is. And the world is abundant with things to be grateful for. And gratitude opens up every possible door for all that you could ever need. Gratitude is the eternal glue for an abundant life. Deepak Chopra said, the universe operates through dynamic exchange. Giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of energy in the universe. Here's where it gets good. And it is our willingness to give that which we seek. We keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. We are the circulation of what we want more of in our lives. It is our willingness to give that which we seek. Wow. It is our willingness to give that which we seek. This is so very true in my life. So let me share with you a little tidbit of my personal experience of abundance. Really, it's an ongoing life experiment that I take great stock in. When I first started attending the center 8 years ago, I had very little in the way of financial prosperity. Every Sunday, the giving basket would go around, and every Sunday, Tammy and I would have a discussion about how much we could afford to put in. Tammy wanted to tithe 10%, and I did not. I would get so anxious about what that meant for us. I would be focusing on what I was giving up, and that to give the money to the center. I had awfulized it, to make something awful. Well, I wouldn't be able to eat. I would lose my home. I was gonna not have enough of anything. Oh my goodness, it was just gonna be dreadful. So we did come to some sort of understanding that Tammy would tithe on her income and I would give what I felt I could. And so I started with the toonie. And I felt very comfortable dropping my toonie in every single week because I had been given permission not to tithe. I got a better paying job and our money began to start flowing. Mostly because Tammy was tithing, I'm sure. But so our income grew, and I moved up my giving to $5 a Sunday. We were given a financial gift, totally Tammy's responsibility, that allowed us to become more debt-free. And so I began to realize that $5 wasn't really harming me in any way. I mean, I paid that for my coffee. I could certainly give it to my center. And eventually, I started giving $20 a week because even that didn't seem like too much. But we'll fast forward a few years, and I was still having anxiety around the word tithe. Whenever someone would say tithe, I just shrinked. Different city, different teachers, same feeling around the consciousness of giving. So giving my 10%, I needed that 10%. I had school to pay for, I had to buy groceries, we had to pay rent. It was scary stuff. Finally, that moment of truth came. I took a class, 5 Gifts for an Abundant Life. And wouldn't you know it that one of the gifts for an abundant life was giving? The willingness to give that which we seek will keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. I want to be abundant. I want it. I want financial prosperity to flow easily, effortlessly, gracefully, and abundantly into my life, into my experience. But I was asked to do a little experiment in that class, to tithe 10% for 8 weeks. When the 8 weeks was done, I could be too if I wanted to be. But I haven't stopped yet. I haven't stopped giving because I know and now have faith in the law that is operating through me, through my life. If I want it, I have to be willing to give it. I love to give. And now when money flows into me, I'm like, how much is 10% of that? My experiment worked and continues to work. I feel more abundant every day. And sure, abundance in my financial well-being has been delightfully increasing for the past few years. I feel grateful for that. But it is so much more. It is so much more than that. I feel abundantly cared for and supported by the source of my being. I feel abundant every day because it is how enriched my soul is. I am nourished and nurtured by the presence that has placed me here to experience all of it. I give and I expect my good to return to me. Elaine Kennedy, a spiritual teacher and author, wrote, "Expect your every need to be met. Expect the answer to every problem. Expect abundance on every level." Abundance is eternal. Gratitude is the glue, and we give what we are looking for. So, do you all want to be more abundant? Mm-hmm. Do you want to be abundant with me? Mm-hmm. Okay, I did some affirmations to close our little talk today. And if you feel like you are called to do so, please just repeat them and we will affirm this abundance. Are you ready?
Yes.
I am eternally abundant.
I am eternally abundant.
I always have more than enough.
I always have more than enough.
My life is filled to the brim and overflowing with good.
My life is filled to the brim and overflowing with good.
I am fully supported with everything I need.
I am fully supported with everything I need.
And so it is.
And so it is.
I bless you abundantly.
Woo!